Whether a way is short and direct doesn't depend the techniques that we are using. It depends solely our sincerity, how we are going about it.
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Daniel.
So according what you were speaking now, I want to
Yes.
ask you, what about imagine a God presence?
Yes.
Sometimes I do that. I just imagine God is here, and I feel some sensation and some mental relaxation.
Right.
What do you think? Is it a real God, or it's just my imagination?
It's real, because God is always present. It's not that sometimes the fellow is absent and then if you call him, he comes. That divinity is always there first, and then the whole rest comes. And we imagine ourselves without being aware that we are doing separate from that divinity. And then the imagination that God is present can help you to let go of that feeling of being separate. So your imagination helps you to become more aware of something that is actually a fact, that is there. So don't sabotage yourself thinking maybe it's only my imagination, that then I feel something when I imagine that. If that helps you, by all means use that.
Thank you for good news. Yes,
you're welcome.
Somehow, yes, I do not imagine special shape, just the presence of God, and I remember it because I was in India in holy place. Yeah. I somehow know that, so it helped me very much. And another question I want to ask you: often you advise to many people how to work with negative emotions. Mm-hmm. And you advise observe body sensations, body energy. Mm-hmm. So, and I also using this instrument. It is helpful for me work with emotions very strong. And last time you was talking about 3 basic ways.
Yes.
A way of love, way of wisdom, and way of yogi, way of
yes.
energy.
Yes.
So, and I understand this advice work with emotion through the body sensations. It's part of way of yogi.
Yes.
But what about the people on the way of love or way of wisdom? How yes. do they work in with strong emotions, with sankaras?
Okay, let's say you're mainly on the way of devotion, and then strong emotions come and you want to do something. The devotee can do different things. Maybe the devotee is usually repeating a mantra and then just redirect the attention from that emotion to repeat the mantra and relax. And gradually that emotion will pass away. Or the devotee can also immediately address God. And say, look what is there again. And there is an emotion. I don't want to hold this emotion. I give you that emotion. We can give everything to God. We can give all our crap to God. God will happily accept it. If somebody functions like this does work. When they see the emotion, and then instead of either justifying the emotion or feeling guilty about the emotion, just say, okay, look, there is the emotion again. Please, you manage it. and just surrender that thing to the divinity, with form or without form, or just do the mantra. Call God's name. Now, the jnani may start to analyze and say, oh, there is emotion, but I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect. And in that way detach from it and come back to the essence. I am that. And by redirecting the attention, not feeding the emotion also will go. or that process may go much directer by simply, if somebody is doing self-inquiry, asking, but who is feeling that emotion? Okay, I see that emotion, but who is feeling that emotion? Who is experiencing that emotion? If you inquire like this, immediately your fixation with the emotion gets less. You start to detach from the emotion and turn the attention to that which makes the experience possible. And then also, we stop feeding the emotion, and if we don't feed the emotions, they pass away.
Yeah, thank you. It's making it clear. I asking this question because on the way of Vipassana, Goenka explains that working with body sensation is deepest way to dissolve sankharas. All other ways, he said, superficial. It's not working so deeply as work with body sensation.
Right.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's unfortunately the thing that happens to many teachers, that they do a good job and bringing people a good way of dealing with their daily life and with their difficulties, but then unnecessarily always try to say that their way is the best way and the higher way and the more powerful way. People are different, and what works very strongly for one doesn't necessarily work very good for another one if they have another mental wake up. And as I described before, how to deal as a bhakta or a jnana marge with emotions, actually the job, the form is a bit different, but the job they are doing is the same, like the one who is redirecting the attention to the body sensations and learns to relax and breathes consciously. It's just getting detached from the emotion, from the obsession with the emotion, and redirecting to the essence. And whether you touching that essence by simply breathing consciously or being aware of the body sensation or by calling God or by inquiring in the self, it doesn't really matter at all. You cannot say one is more powerful than the other, one is higher than the other. Simply for people who are doing something, naturally their way becomes more efficient than when they do something else, and then they go around and say this is the better way. So take from the teacher what is useful and helps you, and the rest of the statements you don't need to take so serious.
Okay, Verna, thank you. Yeah, it's the similar that Tibetan Buddhists speak their way, it's the shortest. So going to say my way is more deepest.
Right.
So
And here, of course, the Vedanta Advaitins, they say this is the highest and the shortest and the most direct. Whether a way is short and direct doesn't depend the techniques that we are using. It depends solely our sincerity, how we are going about it. And if one is sincere, then it's very direct. That is the highest approach what they are using, and it doesn't matter whether it's Advaita or Dvaita, whether it's Bhakti, whether it's yoga, whether it's a combination from all this or something that they create themselves.
Okay, Werner, thank you. Thank you. Very
You're
clear.
welcome. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Yes, it's amazing that also in the spiritual field, the usual human stuff is there so much. And followers of a path and teachers of a path, often they are busy telling, this is really the one thing. If you want to get somewhere, this is the one thing, and all the others, they may prepare you, but they cannot get you anywhere. We have to remember that practices, they are just a crutch for the mind. A crutch to help us to make it easier to turn our attention away from our mental obsession and bring it back to the source, to that which makes the experience possible. It's not so easy to do that totally abstract. When the mind is going vroom, 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 when there is a lot of tension and stuff going on in the psyche, it's not so easy to see that and just drop it and be. It's easier if we have something to redirect the attention to, like breathing, like self-inquiry, like a mantra, like whatever. Focusing on that helps us to detach from the other stuff that goes on in the mind, and from here, being in connection with our practice, all we have to do is to relax, and there we go beyond also the practice, beyond the technique. And whether a technique is efficient or not depends entirely the one who is practicing it. If we go about it with sincerity, if we really want the truth, if we really want to liberate ourselves from the stuff that we are aware, it's just creating problems. It's a heavy weight that we are carrying along for nothing. It's an obstacle to just be in our natural state. If that sincerity is there, then the path that comes, the technique that comes most naturally, is the right technique and is the fastest and the best and the straightest. And it can be very different from one to another as our mental makeup is different. Whether it's efficient or not depends our sincerity.